Roxy, our guest today is a hugely famous actor. He's appeared in numerous movies, including Inception, 500 Days of Summer, and most relevant to us today, Halloween H20. Give it up for Joseph Gordon-Levitt. How you doing, bud?
Hi. Nice to be here.
It's so good to meet you. So, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, in Halloween H20, you get killed off right in the opening scene. But you're such a big actor now. I'm just wondering, why such a small part?
I wonder that myself. At first, I had a big part in the movie, but they cut my storyline for time.
Oh, so your character Jimmy, who I should point out died in the very first scene, was initially important? How did that play out?
See, originally, I didn't die. I went home and didn't see Michael Myers at all. 2 ships in the night. Then we saw what my life was like 10 years later.
Wait, really? Like, the movie jumped ahead 10 years. That feels complicated.
Actually, it wasn't. They put up a chyron that said 10 years later, and so everyone knew it was 10 years later. In this scene, I was older, with a beard, and I'd become a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army.
Oh, interesting. How did that tie into the rest of the movie?
I'm getting there. So we see this scene of me talking to my cadets, and there's this one soldier, a real ding-a-ling, this guy, and he and I have this tense exchange where I threaten to throw him in the disciplinary barracks. I'm a tough leader, but I'm fair. Then a chyron comes up and says 10 years earlier, and we see all the stuff with Lori and her son in the academy and such.
Hang on, I still don't see how that connects to the rest of the movie. There's, no other mention of the army.
Hold on, Rox. I bet it all connects.
Believe me, it connects. So Lori runs the school. She's overprotective of her son, Michael Myers is back, yada, yada. Then we get a chyron 20 years later.
So 10 years after the last 10 years?
Yeah, Roxy, keep up. This time I'm in the trenches in that wily rogue infantryman. Remember him? The ding-a-ling. We're under heavy fire. Then I say to Kimball, his name is Kimball, you see. I say to Kimball, I'm glad you were the best man in my wedding. And the whole audience is like, how did Jimmy and Kimball get to be such good friends? Last time we saw them, they were at each other's throats. Well, we soon get our answer when a scene begins with a chyron 8 years earlier. That's when we see my wedding.
There was a flashback within the flash forward, and it still has nothing to do with Michael Myers? I can see why this all got cut.
No, this scene was vital, and if it had been included, I think Halloween H20 would have been a massive hit.
Hey, I believe it. I am invested in the stories of Jimmy and Kimball.
So I'm at my wedding, and besides me is Kimball. Officiating the wedding is another soldier who we met before. His name is Sandoval.
Who are all these characters?
They have an important role to play in the film Halloween H20. So Sandoval is at the altar, stoic and chewing on a cigar as always.
Classic Sandoval.
Suddenly, Sandoval is murdered.
By Michael Myers? Please tell me it's by Michael Myers.
No, that's what you'd think, but it's actually by the government. Sandoval drops as the sniper bullet pierces his heart. Of course, this is all about the bastards who sent my unit to war. They have secrets to keep, and we, the audience, will learn about these secrets in the next scene, which takes place 2 years earlier.
2 years earlier than the Lori parts, or 2 years earlier than your character's wedding?
2 years earlier than the wedding, but 6 years later than the Lori parts. It's not that confusing. There's a chyron that explains this. It says 2 years earlier than the wedding, but 6 years later than the Lori parts.
Ooh, what happens next?
So we see me meeting with these 2 men in black suits, clearly the conspirators, and we brawl in a coffee shop because my values cannot be compromised, not even for my own government. So one of these suited men punches me in the face, thwack, I go unconscious, then a chyron 2 days later, but 6 years and 2 days later than the Lori stuff. I wake up and I'm in a rocket ship in space. The audience is in their seats, riveted. How did Jimmy get into space, they're saying? And how did Kimball end up as his best man?
This storyline doesn't make any sense on its own, let alone in connection to Halloween.
But then it all comes back around. The ship redirects itself, probably on order of the government. So I'm rocketing back to Earth, a new chyron. 20 minutes later, my ship is heading for the sea. Splash. Another chyron. 6 years and 2 days earlier, Josh Hartnett has a Halloween party with his friends. Now another chyron. 6 years, 2 days, and 2 hours later, my spaceship is deep underwater, the windshield is cracked, and it's filling up fast. I pounded the glass. The audience is screaming at the top of their lungs. How will Jimmy make it out of this one?
Oh my god, no one is invested in Jimmy.
I kick out the windshield, swim to the surface. A piece of my ship, the Space Wing, is broken off. I grab hold, float along, and then on the beach, I see it. Could it be a chyron? 10 minutes later, I'm still looking at the beach. finally, we see it on the beach is
Yeah? What?
a Halloween party. It's Halloween, but I'm in the water. Halloween H20.
Halloween H20 isn't about Halloween on the water. It's about Halloween 20 years after the first movie. Did you read the script?
Oh, okay, yeah, then I'm glad they cut all that stuff out.
Also, who throws a Halloween party on the beach?